Hey there, campers. So today is the last official weekday of my summer vacation, which is a beautiful and melancholy occasion. I want to go outside and play, savor these last hours of liberty, but to not be making another stupid video. But here I am doing that because if you heard the gossip yesterday, Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez of New York's 14th District announced that she is no longer engaged to the fellow that she had been with for many years, and I think that's causing a lot of probably a lot of interest in the world. I don't know if that actually means that she is currently single. It's possible she's in another relationship by now. I wouldn't be surprised if she was. But this video is actually this is intended for the Congresswoman, Congresswoman Ocasio-Cortez. I don't know if you will ever see this. In all likelihood, you will not. But I would like to present myself. My name is Rory, and with your permission, I would love to have the opportunity to court you. For your hand in marriage, or really anything you. I mean, I'm yours. If you just want me to be like a knight in your service, I would be chaste, but I would bring swift suffering and destruction down upon your enemies, because I have such great admiration for you. That's very sincere, and so people might be wondering, is this delusional? That Rory is courting AOC, or attempting to marry her, or is this just a comedy bit? And the truth is, it's neither of those things. Because I'm not delusional. I understand that this is never going to happen, but it is nonetheless entirely serious. I am entirely serious in my intentions, toward the Congresswoman if she reciprocated, which I, of course, do not anticipate. But Congresswoman, I am, I think, I agree with your politics strongly. Your entire project. I call my video series a basic bitch liberal, which might sound like I am to your right, but I'm really not. I think you and I are pretty much simpatico. It's there are people who are kind of like farther left who don't like you either. For me, it's a good litmus test. Do you like AOC? If you like AOC, you probably have good politics. If you don't, then you don't. Whether that's because you're a conservative or a leftist or whatever. But I would. I see a lot of people. There are a lot of people hating on you. For whatever reason. People say. People calling you dumb, which I think is absurd, because I think you're a very bright person. I would sever the hands of those who, would disparage you, because then they would no longer be able to type their vile slanders and calumnies against you. I'm very much aware that you probably have many suitors, who are more accomplished than myself. I am roughly a dozen years your senior. Which I don't think would matter that much. If I were accomplished, which I'm not. I'm I had ambitions to be a literary superstar of some kind, but those sort of ambitions tend to fail. I am a high school English teacher. And I am an occasional playwright, as well as a video essayist here, fiction writer. I get 10-minute plays performed on college campuses, once every other year. Or, the one play that I wrote with my more successful friend has been pretty successful, but I am not successful on my own. And, but this is not, none of which is to say that I think I would be poor marriage material for you, because I would, I wouldn't have any masculine insecurity about your greatness. I mean, I would just bask in your glow, which is probably what the last guy did. And maybe you're looking for someone who is more glorious in and of themselves. I think I have potential for glory. I think if I started dating you, I'd get more productions. So I mean, there's a I am not entirely unselfish. I mean, I am devoted to you, but I am also still thinking of myself. And yeah, like I could be your husband, or I could just be your knight, or anything in between. Like anything, you want to use me and lose me. This is not my preference. My preference would be to, for you to be the sun, as I am the earth. I've been single for a really long time. Maybe that's what they call a red flag. What's wrong with this guy? Things, but I have been in relationships with women in the past. While obviously they didn't necessarily lead to anything permanent, but I have been told that my skills as a lover are not inconsiderable. I don't want to be vulgar like that, but that is what I've been reliably told. I think for you especially, given my admiration, I mean, I think there would be no problems in that area. I know that your project, your passion is to elevate the working class, and I kind of am the working class. I know you could choose between politicians and heads of state and titans of industry, technology. You probably movie stars. All that. I realize that. And me, and but I've actually I am actually making my intentions known. I don't know if whoever is any of those like movie stars or titans of industry. I don't know if they've actually made a video like this. Probably not. I'm just saying, AOC, like whether it is romantically or politically, I'm your servant. And I will do as you command. But I do want you to consider the possibility of us dating, because like I think we could have a really good time. I mean, I think our similar political beliefs, and I have a pretty good sense of humor. I think we'd laugh together, and I could take you to Chili's. It would be an authentic, it would be an authentic, upper working class experience. That's the thing. I mean, I know we would get along. I mean, that's something, is what they call, parasocial, fan attachment these days. This is not, I am not going to stalk you. I'm not going to attempt to assassinate anyone to impress you, unless you send me the signals, with, if there's like a special blink, and then, no one will know that you're the one who I did, unlike that Hinckley guy. I'm not gonna rat you out. But I mean that, because I'm not going to be committing any political violence anyway. That was just joke, tangent. This is the last you're going to hear from me. I'm not gonna send like a bunch of stalker videos that you're not going to respond to this, and that's okay. And that will be the end of it. That's what I'm assuring you. I'm not gonna. I'm not a stalker. I'm not. not an assassin. Uh, we've made those things clear. I'm just telling you. I do think we would have chemistry. And all I'm doing is asking you to think about it. All right. So have a great day. Good luck in November. I think your leadership has been great for progressives all over the country, and have a great weekend.